Hello everyone, this is Kate from Exploding Orchids. I thought I'd do basically a tour of my windowsill here. So I have quite a few plants. It's probably the maximum I'd like to have on this windowsill. Just because it does, introduce a lot of moisture near the window, and I don't really want too much moisture near the window when it's sometimes we get things like molds in the corners and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't really want too many plants here. When it gets to summer, I can definitely move these further away from the window. But this is my sunniest window in the house. It's basically south-ish facing, so it definitely does get a lot of sunlight. And as you can see, that's why I've got a lot of my cactuses and things on this windowsill. So I'll go from this side first. So this is a cactus I basically got from my neighbour. They were moving out. I think they were moving to Australia basically, just for a working holiday. And this is one of the ones that they gave me. Their flat is practically exactly the same as mine. So in theory, this is getting the same conditions as they had. In theory, I think it's doing a little bit better than when I got it. So can you see, I'll show you. Can you see at the bottom, the spines aren't really there anymore? And you can see that the spines are actually a bit smaller than the ones at the top. This is usually because the plant wasn't necessarily growing too well before. Maybe it didn't get enough water or enough fertilization, or I don't know, but not enough light. But like I said, they have exactly the same conditions as my flat, so it's not like that's really a likely culprit, really. So the next one is basically a mini jade, or I think it's called a crassula plant. I put it in this little bonsai pot. I just thought I'd have a little bit of fun trying to make it look like a bonsai. Now this one's kind of doing okay. That's starting to look a bit like a tree, but the rest of it is growing quite slowly. Probably because this pot dries out a bit too quickly, to be honest. And because this is the sunniest window in the house, it's also the warmest spot, and also right next to a radiator, so it's not like it's the best spot really to have a pot like this. But as long as I water it enough, it hasn't died yet, so that's obviously good. It's a bit dehydrated, but I did just water it, so it should be fine. I've got this orchid here. Now this is actually a little bit of an experiment, and I'll do another video talking about it. But I got this from a supermarket, and I saw that it had, can you see it has 2 terminal spikes? Which basically just means that this particular plant won't survive, basically. It will die, but sometimes these orchids can produce keikis, which are baby plants, either on the stems or from the base of the plant. I knew that this was a goner when I got it, but I did want to experiment with keiki paste, and just to see if I could easily bring back an orchid from terminal spikes, because I do actually have 2 other orchids that might have terminal spikes, which obviously those ones are a lot more important to me, and if I can save this one, then hopefully I can save the others as well. But yeah, I'll do a more in-depth video about that one. And then this is actually another sorry, not an orchid, another cactus that I got from my neighbour. It actually came with a little tag. So this is the tag. If it focuses, yeah. So that was the tag. So again, this came from my neighbour. This one was fine when I got it. You can see it's perfectly healthy all the way up. And again, one way you can know that they're growing quite fast and quite healthy is the spines kind of gather at the top like that. When it's growing really fast, they get loads and loads of little spines at the top, but when it's growing more slowly, the spines could be more spread out essentially, and they're not as thick. I don't know if it'll actually, yeah, I mean you can't really see it on here, but you can see that the spines at the bottom are a lot smaller, just like the other one, and then at the top they're getting a lot bigger. Yeah, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that one getting very big. Like I said, this is really sunny window, so it's just perfect for cactuses and things on here. And then again, another cactus. This was actually something my friend gifted to me. She gave it to me in a cute little like paprika box. Basically like a little tin, and it has a little stopper on the top, kind of like a paint can. She obviously got rid of the stopper, but then she planted this in it. It got way too big for that, so I had to move it to a bigger pot. And I've moved it to this terracotta pot, which again is a bit of an issue on this window because it's very hot, and as you know about terracotta, it can definitely dry out plants a lot quicker, and I'm not too sure I like keeping plants in terracotta, especially in this spot, but it's a cactus. I think it's going to be fine. It's not like it's a plant that's super thirsty, and that I'll just end up basically watering this with my other plants, the plants that don't generally like being dry, essentially. So this just will dry out a little bit faster than the other plants in plastic, and then I'll just water it more frequently, so it's fine. And again, you can see the difference between the bottom. See, the spines are a lot smaller. They're also a different colour, like they're more yellow. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but there's tiny little fuzzy spines inside, like a star. And then as you go at the top, you can see that they're a lot fluffier, a lot healthier. They're doing really well, essentially. And again, like the more concentrated the spines are at the top, the faster it's growing, essentially. As far as I know anyway, in my experience, you don't really get much comparison on this window because obviously they're all growing in the same place. So, but I'm just, it's based on what the conditions that they used to be in my old houses. They definitely weren't getting enough light. So yeah, they weren't getting enough light, they weren't growing as fast. And I'll have a good example later on the windowsill. So this is not looking great. This is my succulent pot. Now again, it's in terracotta, and this just goes to show how warm this window is. Basically, succulents, obviously, they don't really need that much moisture, but this being a plant, basically succulents are more thirsty than cactuses, that's for sure. And I water this probably the same time I water this, which is not great because I don't know if you can see, but you know, they're all floppy, especially this plant here. Can you see how wrinkly it is? How dehydrated it is? I mean, this plant pot is really shallow. It's terracotta, it's really wide, so a lot of the moisture evaporates from the top. And yeah, they're just not doing very good. This is probably like the third year that they've been in this pot, and I just keep having to start from scratch and place them back into the same pot. I think eventually I'll just have to, I could do two things. So I can keep the pot, but I'm going to need to get some more moisture retentive soil, I think. I don't know, mix in some vermiculite or just water it more frequently really, but it would help out if I had something in the pot that was more moisture retentive, especially near the surface, because that's where it dries out the quickest. Or I'm just going to have to get a new pot and use this pot for something else, and use it for something else in the rest of the house, because yeah, it just dries out too quickly, and I'm having to redo these so often. And actually some of the different succulents I had in here, like I had a jelly bean plant in here and I really liked it, but obviously it didn't survive. They're quite thirsty, and they're quite small, so they're very sensitive to that kind of thing. It didn't survive essentially. So if I do sort that out, I should be able to maybe get the jelly bean plant again, but we'll see. Obviously I have enough plants, so maybe I shouldn't. So this is my jade plant. I've actually had this for a very long time. It's probably one of my oldest plants actually, and it recently got attacked by thrips, I think. I wasn't sure exactly what the culprit was. I don't know if that will let me focus. No, it won't focus. Let me get a better spot. Yeah, it's too bright, so it won't focus. But actually I can show you this. So I don't know if you can see the damage on there. Again, I'm not 100% sure that it's thrips, but thrips are the most vicious kind of culprits in my grow space without me being able to see them. So I'm pretty sure it's thrips basically. So I have treated this, so you can see the kind of the white residue on the leaves. That's the pesticide that I used. I basically use spinosad, and it's a bacterial insecticide that works quite well in my experience, and for most other people as well. It's the only thing that's actually worked for me, other than just hosing them down literally every 2 days, but that's just not practical really. So yeah, I don't see any signs anymore. To be honest, I think these succulents transferred it to this plant here, because I made the mistake of having this outside for I think about a week or so while I was going to redo the succulents essentially in the pot. And as soon as they were outside, I think they got taken over by thrips, and then I brought the thrips inside by bringing this back inside. I think I did treat them before they came back in, but sometimes, you know, if you only treat them once, there's a chance that there is eggs somewhere in the plants, on the soil, anywhere, and then they end up spreading to other plants. So I should have basically treated this when I brought it in, but then also, you know, immediately after, well, not immediately after, but basically a few days after I brought it in as well, just to make sure that I get all of them. They have a life cycle of about 3 days or something, or they can hatch within 3 days. So I should have, you know, treated it the day that I brought it in, and then maybe 3 days later or something, and then maybe even a few weeks after that, just to be sure. But you're not really supposed to treat them too often. The bugs can get used to certain pesticides, so yeah, just be careful with that essentially. This one is my epiphyllum, I think it's called. So basically it's a cactus orchid. Orchid cactus basically. So once it gets bigger, my hope is that it will flower. Apparently they only flower once a year, and they only flower overnight. So when I say once a year, I mean like literally just one night out of the entire year, and they make these really pretty big white flowers. I think the common name of this one is a Queen of the Night cactus because it flowers at night, and they are fragrant as well. I don't know exactly what they smell like, but my friend did tell me that hers smells like jasmine almost. Like it's a very, very pungent flowery smell, and it can essentially fill up the entire house. But I'm really excited about that, and it's doing well on this windowsill. I think they are terrestrial plants, but I have had it potted in a similar mix to my other orchids, just because that's all I had to hand, to be honest. Like I haven't purchased any new terrestrial plants in a long time, and I don't have any soil here in my house, so it's not like I could have potted it up into actual soil anymore because I don't have any. So yeah, it's doing fine. Again, I'm a bit worried about the terracotta because these are actually really thirsty cactuses, and actually you can see it's a little bit dehydrated here. The new growth is absolutely fine, so obviously that's fine, but you can see the old growth is a little bit wrinkly. It's a bit dehydrated. So this one, I'll do another in-depth video about this one. Obviously this is an orchid channel, so I am technically going to focus more on orchids, but this is a bit of an exception today. It's a bit of a general plant tour. But yeah, this is the Oncidium Sherry Baby, or Sherry Baby. I always call it Sherry Baby because it sounds better, but Sherry Baby just sounds a bit weird to me. But yeah, when I got it, it only had this pseudobulb plus a growth. So this is the growth that it had when I got it, but obviously it's now become an actual bulb. And then it hasn't flowered yet. I'm guessing it's going to flower maybe in spring, or it might be a little bit longer than that. I don't know, because it does only have 2 pseudobulbs. And then after it grew that pseudobulb, the one that I had before, it's put out this new one, and this one's actually grown really, really fast. It is warming up now in the UK, probably temporarily. It will go cold again, but yeah, it's definitely doing okay. It's got roots. I've heard that they're a lot more thirsty than other plants, so other orchids. So I have been trying to keep this hydrated, especially again since it's in this window. It can get really dehydrated in here. So yeah, I've been watering it at least once a week, something like that. But I don't water on a schedule usually. I usually feel the weight of the pot. I look at the colour of the substrate on the top, and if it's still a bit dark, like this is a bit darker than it would be normally, I leave it. So I haven't actually watered it this week. I'm going to wait probably a few more days, see if it dries out a bit, and then should be fine. So this one is actually another cactus that I got from my neighbour. So again, they seem to be doing really well. I think it's actually a very similar type of orchid to the other one that I have, to this one basically. It's not exactly the same, but it's definitely very similar. So the bumps on the actual orchid itself are a lot longer than the other one. And the spines, it doesn't have 2 layers of spines, it only has 1. So you can see that there's just the spikes on the tip of the bump, whereas the other one has so yellow spines on the tip and then tiny white ones underneath. So again, they're definitely different, but yeah, this one's quite cool. It's got 3 technically in one pot, or it could be one plant. It's just the kind of cactus that spores out basically. And then this one is a really tiny orchid. So I've got the tag. It's the Oncidium Twinkle Fragrance Fantasy. So apparently this this smells like vanilla, apparently, or some people have said that it smells like cake, basically. So like a sponge cake or a vanilla frosting or something like that. So it had, I'm trying to see how many. So it had 4 pseudobulbs, I think, when I got it. So it had these three like more wrinkly pseudobulbs. These are the older ones, and it did have one more that was really, really tiny. It must have been the pseudobulb it had when it was seedling, essentially. And it just did it rot off? I think it rotted off, yeah. Because again, I've been trying to keep this quite moisture retentive. I sometimes just even put water on the bottom here, just to make sure, because it's such a tiny pot and it's in this hot window next to the radiator. Oncidiums really don't like to dry out, and their roots are so thin and delicate that I don't really want to risk it. But then it grew basically 4 pseudobulbs once I got it. One of them was really tiny, and it grew above all the others, and then it just died. I think it was too above the soil, like the surface of the pot, and the roots didn't get into the moisture quick enough, and it just died. Which is fine, because it's growing really fast. So, you know, if I only had 4 pseudobulbs to begin with, then only 3, and then 4 grew and only 1 died, I'm still happy with that. Like, that's a lot of pseudobulbs to grow in one go, and it's not doing badly at all. I'm not that worried about this one. Whereas I do have one other Oncidium that clearly doesn't like the low humidity, and that's ironic because it's very high humidity here. So it's in this room it gets to about between 50 to 70 because I have a dehumidifier. In other rooms of the house it's about 80% on a really humid day, or even 90% if we're not careful. And in other parts of the house I think it does better, so I've actually moved it to my bedroom. These ones seem fine though. Like the Oncidium Twinkle, I don't think it needs that high of a humidity. The pseudobulbs aren't going all wrinkly and sad, whereas I'll show you the other one in another video. The leaves are yellow, the pseudobulbs are really wrinkly, the new growths grow really slowly. It's not happy. And it was on this windowsill, so like I say, I think it's to do with the humidity, it's to do with how hot this windowsill is, and I think it's the type that doesn't like that kind of heat and that kind of lower humidity, and I'm lower humidity in quotations there, because it's still quite high humidity for most plants. Right, and then this one, this is another plant I got from my neighbour. When I got it, it was quite yellow actually and quite dry. So again, I don't think they were watering their plants as often as maybe they should, because if they have the same kind of sunlight and heat and stuff coming from their windows, or more, because I have these protective films on my windows to make sure that my plants don't just burn to a crisp. And they definitely, I don't think they had this on their windows, not that I could see from outside the house anyway. They definitely didn't have anything like that, or sheer curtains or anything. So I think their cactuses and succulents are just getting cooked, basically. And I think it did have all of these like babies before, but again, they were all brown, not really doing very well, and I think they're growing really well now. I probably won't divide these out. I don't need any new plants unless I know anyone that wants some, or I post on Facebook or something asking people if they want anything. because yeah, there definitely weren't this many babies. There's, I don't know how many there are now, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, there's a tiny one there. Yeah, that's a lot. I don't need that many plants. I'm not going to pot them up into their own pots. But yeah, this is a really cool plant. It's got like teeth. I don't know how to describe it, but it's quite literally got teeth all the way along the side of it, and bumps on the inside. And it's really cool. I really do like this plant. It's not the kind of plant I would have chosen to buy, but it was free from my neighbours, so it's not like I'm complaining. But yeah, I really like the texture, and it really does look like teeth. It's really strange. Right, and then this one I got from a friend. She actually gave me 2 pots of these, so there was 2. They're basically called lithops. There was 2 in each pot, but unfortunately I had no idea what I was doing with these, and I overwatered them and they died, the other 2 at least. These ones are doing okay, although recently they've been getting really wrinkly, so I don't know if you can see on this one, you can see the wrinkles on the side. Usually when that happens is they are dehydrated, usually, and at that point I do water them, so I probably only water these once every 2 to 3 months. Once every 6 months actually, so probably only twice a year. But what I do is I might water it. I'd wait 2 or 3 weeks to see if the wrinkling kind of dies down. Not until it goes away completely, but until the wrinkling goes away a tiny bit, and then I'll water it again if it hasn't gone completely, or if it hasn't gone down at least a little bit. And I think I did that this year. It's almost always in early spring that I water, or just after winter. But I think I overwatered a little bit, because I don't know if you can see this one. It's wrinkly, but it's soft. Like, that's not a good sign, essentially. It might mean that one in particular is overwatered. This one seems fine. So I'm hoping that one pulls through, or doesn't, this one doesn't affect that one. But yeah, this one's not looking great. My hope is that if I just leave it, it will recover a bit. So if I do what I normally do, which is I don't water these for months and months and months on end. If I just leave them now and I don't water them, not even worrying about the wrinkling, essentially, unless it gets really crazy, I'm hoping that one would do okay. If it starts drying out, then maybe it was underwatered, but I really doubt it. I think I watered it 3 times, which usually I don't do. Usually I only water twice. So I'll water, like I say, once a year officially, and then if the wrinkling doesn't go down, or after a month or so it gets wrinkly again, I'll water 1 more time. But I think I did it 3 times, because the wrinkling was not going down, and I think that was too much. Like, you can imagine how difficult this plant is to look after if it has a tantrum over water after not having been watered for like 6 to 8 months or something ridiculous. But yeah, these ones are really difficult to look after. So the next one is this one. Again, it's another kind of like barrel cactus. I don't know the official name for this one, but again, I got this from my neighbour. You can see I don't know if you can see that, but it's like a layer of glue on a specific layer. I'm pretty sure that's when my neighbor probably purchased this cactus. And a lot of the time you'll see the glue, when the shops actually stick fake flowers to the plants. And I think it's ridiculous because they always look ugly anyway. Like, it's not like it makes the plants look nice. What they could do is just put a tag in the cactus. If this cactus happens to flower, what they could do is put a tag with a picture of the flower on actually on the plant, just to, if they think that that's going to encourage people to buy the cactus, then that's what I think they should do. They shouldn't be sticking fake flowers to plants when it's just ridiculous anyway. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's when they got the cactus. You can see it grew quite well. This little indent, I'm pretty sure it's because maybe something happened. Cactuses get a lot thinner when they're dehydrated or when there's not enough light. So maybe that's what happened. And then you can see at the top it's getting bigger again. Probably I got it and it was about that. So from about here, so pretty much just the top. And you can see again the top's pretty dense with those spines and growing really well. I don't know why, but the spines also tend to be a lighter colour when they're having a better time. I don't know if that's... So you can see underneath they're like a darker yellowy colour, and then they go light again when my neighbour purchased it, and then they were kind of a red colour again from maybe this was placed in a different spot in my neighbour's house or something, and then all of the new spines again are really light. I don't know what that's about, but I think it has something to do with how happy the plant is, essentially. So if that's let me know, in the comments if that's something that happens with your plants as well. It'd be quite interesting to know, because I'm just guessing. Like I said, I only have my own plants to compare to. Okay, and this is actually my oldest cactus. You can see it's absolutely massive. When I got it, I don't know if you can see, there's a lot of glare with the light, but I got it when it was about that tall. And you can actually see the colour of the skin on the cactus is a lot lighter. It's not as dark, the spines were a lot smaller, the cactus is a lot thinner, and it's just not as healthy looking. Obviously it's a younger cactus, so it's not like it's going to grow huge, but you can just see that it doesn't look as healthy. And then this middle part, so from about here to here, is when I had it in... Hang on, let me just get it to focus properly. Yeah, there we go. That's basically when I had it in not the best... I mean, it was probably better than it was before, so wherever it was growing before, it wasn't particularly very happy. And then from when I bought it to about here, is when it was with my mum, and she looked after it for me because I moved away, and it grew, and you can see that it's a lot fatter than when it was in the shop, but it's still quite light. Like, the colouring is a bit splotchy, it's not as healthy looking. And then the top part, so basically this whole part, is when I've been living here, essentially. So you can see it's absolutely massive. I don't know if you can, it's not really for scale, is it? So it's quite tall, and the top is really healthy, it's really starting to shape up. Like, the bottom part's really flat, and then the top part's really starting to form those bumps. And the colour is really nice. It's like a blue-green, really dark blue-green. And the spikes are massive. And again, the spike density at the top is massive. I think the thickness of the plant can have something to do with the sunlight as well, because there's a little point here where it's a bit thinner. Don't know if you can see that. It's just a little bit thinner than the rest of the, like it's a bit fatter here and then it's thinner here. That might have just been a little bit of a cold spell, so maybe in winter it wasn't as warm as it normally would have been, or maybe I didn't water it enough, or yeah. But you can see that I'm doing a lot better actually looking after these now, and it's getting a lot bigger at the top. It's also getting to the top of the film. It's probably about, I don't know, 15 centimeters from the top, so obviously it has a long way to go, but once it starts getting above that film on the window, it will probably overtake all of the plants here. Cactuses are really suited to hot and sunny places, and it doesn't actually really need this film, although I think it does help with keeping the room cool and the plants cool and stuff like that. Cactuses don't really need it. So once it gets over that, it's going to probably take off, I think. Yeah. So yeah, that's the windowsill. If you guys have any questions about anything, or if you have any suggestions for videos, just let me know. Please subscribe if you want more videos like this. I'll do hopefully at least once a week a video about orchids, or sometimes I'll do videos about my other house plants, or my balcony. I've got a balcony, so yeah, I can do lots of videos like that for you guys, so just let me know. And like the video if you liked the video. Okay, thank you guys, bye.